Welcome into the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. Big show planned, as always. Lots of great things we're going to get into today. And, yeah, that's what we got going today for you here on Fox Sports Radio. Today, it is January the 5th. We haven't even wrapped up the college football playoff season yet, or the college football season. We did have a football game last night. I say football game because folks were talking and they were upset with me yesterday because I said that the majority of these bowl games that are not the college football playoff, no one cares. No one cares. So under that, last night, LSU played Kansas State in the Who Gives a Damn Bowl, and they got smoked. Now, step back and ask yourself something. Do you think that that bowl game actually means anything? And I say that for the SEC dummies. The ACC is this and that. The lower back tattoo people that are dumber than dirt. You think these bowl games matter? You're just not with it. Try reading. Let's try that. Don't just read talking points from Birmingham. So we had that last night. You're watching that. That's a debacle. You watch South Carolina play Auburn last night. Auburn looked like a top 10 basketball team. They came in and whipped the Gamecocks. Then Clemson, a team they beat by 17 in Charlottesville, Virginia. Virginia comes into Littlejohn and holds Clemson like a 9-minute stretch where they just couldn't hit a basket. There were layups that were missed that my chunky butt could have gotten. So there you go with that. That's what we had last night. But a couple of things have happened here in today. You know, we've been hard on a lot of these young men that decide to opt out of bowl games and everything else. There are two stories that came out today that I wanted to hit you with before we get into my first stuff for the accountability bookcase for the 2022 football season. And there were two stories that came out today that no one cares about. We want to hold a lot of these athletes to a standard of, hey, you signed a deal, you've got to stay there forever, and you have to play in every bowl game, even though the bowl games don't matter. You got to play in every one of them. But DJ Durkin is going within the division. He is leaving Ole Miss to go coach at Texas A&M, the same spot. What an absolute mess that is. That's the kind of thing we should be talking about. There's no loyalty with anyone. Then you have today, Joe Burrow is not playing in the last game of the season for the Bengals. And in reality, no one cares. You know why? Because it's the pros. Maybe we just hold them to a higher standard when they're in college. But when it comes down to is let's say it's a home game for Cincinnati. And someone got their kid tickets for Christmas, thinking they would get to see Joe Burrow play in that final weekend matchup with whoever it is that they're playing. And Joe Burrow basically told them, I don't care about your feelings. I don't care that you, and by the way, there's three things to see with Cincinnati: Burrow, Higgins, and Chase. The rest of the team, not so much. Those are the marketable players for the team. And, you know, I don't have a problem with Burrow sitting out, but it's looked upon differently in the pros than it is the NFL. I mean, than in college. I'm sorry. I said the pros in the NFL. I'm just a silliness. Caden says LSU had nobody out there, absolutely nobody, more third-string pluck guys and guys that haven't played any. Thank you, Caden. You have made my point for me. The bowl games don't mean anything. Now, for everyone thinking that it's like a totem pole contest with your conference, which we've determined the SEC's top-heavy, I'm sorry if that hurts feelings, but that's just the way that it is. None of these bowl games matter. They are stealing from you as a fan. bowl games have gotten to the point, and I'll stand by this. Bowl games are now holiday filler. It's something for guys to watch when and adding that to It's a Wonderful Life at the Christmas season. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Billy says, remember the days when college football starters were introduced with their major and GPA? Yeah, then a lot of those majors ended up being undecided and they're a senior. Or I don't want to rip certain majors and have someone calling up and yakking at me about it. But yeah, the idea of what you went to college for, what's your major going to be? That's because a lot of these guys go to college and their majors, they don't care. Their major is practice. The idea of a student athlete is garbage on the college football front. Now, if you're a tennis player, track player, whatever, I can see it. I'm not saying a lot of these guys don't go to college and do their thing, but in reality, a lot of them aren't doing their what the average student does, and I get that. Edwin says underwater basket weaving. Thank you, Edwin. I think that's the class he teaches. I'm picking. Billy says, was the SEC top heavy during the BCS years when 5 teams from the SEC won natties? Yeah, you're top heavy. The conference is top heavy. We don't have to get into that. But Alan says, I'm top heavy. That's fine. Whatever you want to go with to make yourself feel better there, Alan. That's fine. So I've got some things here that I'm going to throw at you that I think are going to happen in the college football season. Even though we haven't wrapped up the season yet. Still got that national championship game next week where Georgia and Alabama will play each other to see who is the national champion. And by the way, when you really stop and look at it, I know the national championship is important, but this has to be the year for the Georgia Bulldogs, right? I mean, they've got that, and I've said it myself, one of the best defenses I've seen in college football in a long time. They went out there and they destroyed a Michigan team that a lot of people thought a lot of. In Alabama, they went through the regular season. They lost to Texas A&M. Had some games where they didn't really look really that flashy and great. The Florida matchup was kind of like, But then Alabama turns it on when they need to, and they whipped Georgia the last time they played them. But when you step back for a minute and you look at what Georgia has and kind of what Georgia may lose heading into next season, I'm not saying next year's team is not going to be great. We'll talk about that in a moment. But this has to be the year for Georgia, right? If not, then what? Seriously, if they go out and the same thing happens in the SEC championship game that where Alabama pops them in the mouth and just rolls by, that's going to be interesting. But you want to know the one thing that Alabama had that none of the rest of the schedule had that Georgia didn't really have to compete with? And that is a game-changing quarterback. Hendon Hooker eventually ended up being that way. But let me ask you this. Would you rather have Bryce Young or Hendon Hooker starting for you right now? It's not even remotely close. And I think that facing that type of quarterback was something that Georgia hadn't faced all year. And that ended up costing them in the playoff. I mean, in the championship game. Someone said, I need to say it correctly. Who was? Oh, Billy says, say it right, Rob, like a Yankee. Michigan. Thank you, sir. Big Barney Ross says, there's a reason that Georgia is favored. They're in the SEC East. Yeah, but the reality is that they were favored before, and Alabama curb stomped them. Alabama wins another national title. Nick Saban will just put that ring next to the others, and all right, we got to win another national title next year. But Georgia needs this for the program. Because if they lose it, then what? Congratulations, you participated in the SEC championship game. You won a CFP game. And then what? Not much. It's kind of a flat season if Georgia doesn't win on next Monday. Jimmy says LSU was down to 36 scholarship players. Exactly. Why is that? Guys opting out. Coaches leaving. No one cares. That's basically what it comes down to. After rivalry week, the list will completely be no one cares. Dr. Berto online says Georgia is favored, so Alabama will win again. Lewis says Bama will win again. Brandon with a good note there. Nick Eason has decided to leave. I think he was at Cincinnati, and he's going to be the new D-line coach at Clemson. Big Money Ross says, get ready for more Saban Aflac commercials with a new toupee. Nick Saban wears a toupee? I wouldn't say that to him. He might throw something at you. Anyway, if you want to respond to that, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. The bookcase of accountability is to my right. I have talked about it before. We're going to go through some of this stuff after the college football season is over, and we're going to look back at the season and say, you know what? We've got this happening and that happening, but that's not how it was talked about before. Let's go out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob. Been thinking about the transfer portal. Do you think that they will put in, like, after the season, you have to get in the portal at a certain time to be eligible the next season? Would that help out some?
Well, it depends on when they put the time. If they put
like,
it as January,
at the end of regular season, to the 10th of December.
I think it should be before the spring semester starts. I think you should be, January 4th or whatever. So that way you can move to that team or to move to the new school. I think that would make sense. But
thinking like putting like a thing in it, if you have to get in it before this date to be eligible for next year. If you don't, then you have to sit out a year. It's kind of stopped. It kind of dribbles in these transfers.
I think that we've gotten to a point now where there aren't a lot of guys that you look at Mac Jones, who was at Alabama and was third string, and basically he stuck it out and ended up having a year, and now he's the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots. I'm not saying that that's the way that it happens with every kid, but I think a lot of kids I think they get bad advice. They'll get the mentality of, hey, you're better than the guy that's ahead of you in the depth chart.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I'm going to go somewhere else. And I think when they go somewhere else, they may be coddled a little bit. Hey man, you come here, we're going to make you, first on the depth chart.
Yeah.
Instead
some of these guys
actually
are doing
earning it.
Yeah. And some of these guys are transferring, twice.
Right.
It's just getting to a point to be ridiculous. And I have a question to ask. Who do you think the Jaguars will pick for the number one spot this year? Because it looks like they're going to have it. Should they trade out maybe for more picks? It seems like they need a lot. But who do you think that they would go with if they stuck with that first pick?
Well, I mean, they need so much. And I don't follow the Jaguars. I mean, I'm a Packers fan, but I don't follow the Jaguars as much as most. But I can tell you, the games that I've watched, people give Trevor Lawrence a lot of dirt for what's happened this season, but he was getting hit a lot. And I think that, in my opinion, if the number one rated offensive tackle is there, but is projected as like a number 10 pick, I would trade down and get the best offensive tackle in the draft and then get more picks. You don't need a quarterback. You can go and get a wide receiver. You've got a running back in Travis Etienne, who's recovering and should be ready to go. So on that side of the ball, on the defensive side of the ball, you can always get a pass rusher. I think if you're going to draft in the top 10, you should get the best pass rusher. And that's kind of the way to go. Or they could go defensive back. I think that would be a good option for them as well.
Yeah, I think one of those they're talking about the kid from Oregon that's a defensive end, and they're also mentioning the kid from Michigan. it'll be interesting to see how they do it since now they finally don't have to pick a quarterback.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of what everyone looks for, but I think they need to put the eggs in the basket of Trevor Lawrence is who you need to build around and get somebody to protect his backside. I mean, you got to have that good offensive tackle, and right now they don't really have it.
Yeah, and for Clemson, getting Nick Eason, I think is a pretty big get for them.
Well, when it comes down to that, I don't know if Nick Eason can recruit or not. He's got the big name, but can he go out and recruit? Being an assistant coach, yeah, you can know the X's and O's and you can fine tune guys, etc. But if you can't recruit, I don't really think that you can be effective. I mean, you're going to have to be able to recruit. So we'll see how that works out.
It just seems like in today's age, the kids look for at my position. How many people have they put in the NFL?
Well, yeah, I guess I can see that.
Yeah,
but
all right, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. By the way, Kentucky lost to LSU last night in basketball. LSU basketball team bought and paid for. We know that from their coach, who is on tape saying, yes, I paid this guy, blah, 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 and is still allowed to coach. Tell me college basketball isn't corrupt. We've actually heard the tape of where their coach is like, hey, I bought and paid for this guy. Yeah, their bought and paid for basketball team beat Kentucky, which is, by the way, coached by someone who cheats pretty much everywhere he's been. I think every program that John Calipari's been at has been under probation. The funny part, though, is that I've talked to some people that the whole thing with Calipari, man, he's a great coach. Yeah, so, okay, but every program ends up on probation. They're willing to look past that. And that's part of the problem. The fact that people think that John Calipari is a great coach may be the bigger thing in college basketball. But anyway, LSU last night wins over Kentucky. Big Barney Ross says when Kentucky loses, it's the ref's fault. When they win, it's because they're better than the other team. The bylaws of Kentucky basketball. Good point. Billy with a great question. How many schools is Calipari that was not on probation? Answer is 0. Yeah. So there's that. All right. You can join in at 803-978-1832. It's like ADD on the radio with everything spinning around today. So we've talked about everything from how important the national championship matchup is for Georgia. And I never had this whole thing of, oh, they're due. That's a load of crap. You have to go out and earn it. But if there was a team that was due, it's Georgia. I think it's the game. I think we use the term means more. I think it means more to them than out to Alabama. I really do. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. RMF Todd says Calipari is a great recruiter, great seasons with one and dones. Yeah, true. True. 803-978-1832. Take a quick break. We come back. First stuff for the bookcase of accountability for the 2022 season. We'll have that for you in just a moment. This is The Rundown. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. Yeah, you're right about that, where he told him he would kill him, vodka drinker. Very good. I don't know about that, Brandon. I don't know who he's going to hire. We'll see. If you believe that there, Fins for life, whatever. I think Cheney at 70 would have choked him out. I really believe that. That's a valid point, Billy. I wonder. I think that the off-season stuff for Georgia always gets them to a point where they look better than they actually are. Now, before people get upset, what I'm saying is every year, top five recruiting class. They've got, this guy and that guy, and oh, that guy fell off. Okay, well, we got a 5-star guy behind him. I think that hurts Georgia a little bit. I really do. Because the hype is there that, man, you've got all this talent. You should be winning more than you are. And they don't. I don't know what you're talking about, Jay. Caleb Williams beat Kansas by himself. Very good, Jackpot. I mean, Texas couldn't beat Kansas, so look, I've said this before. I think Georgia's one of the best teams in the country, but I think that this game means more to them than it does to Alabama. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app, 803-978-1832. Billy with a good comment here that says if Kirby Smart loses this game, he might be on the hot seat. I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know where the Georgia fan base sits with him. I mean, I really don't. I think that they have the mentality of, look, we've got all this talent. Maybe we should be winning some of these games. Maybe when we get on the field with Alabama, we should win that game. I don't know where the Georgia fan base stands with that. Rob online says he's a Dog fan and he'll be shocked if they win. Yeah, there's that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. From Billy's comment there, if they lose, is he on the hot seat? I don't know. He does say, going out on a limb here, that the SEC wins a national title. All right, so here's some of my things for next football season that I wrote up. We're going to put them on the bookcase of accountability now. For next season, ladies and gentlemen, we will not have a group of 5 team in the college football playoff. It's just not going to happen. Cincinnati lost Desmond Ridder, Jerome Ford, 2 of the best players on defense. Cincinnati was the perfect storm of a team there. And they win. They won out, and they deserved to be there in theory. But in the end, it's not going to work out well for them for next season. And I don't think there's a group of 5 team that has a shot of making the college football playoff for next season. A couple of the other ones here that I have in my notes. Tennessee's lost 5 straight games to Florida. I think that Florida is going to have some growing pains with Billy Napier in his first season. I think a lot of the guys left, and I think that it's going to hinder them a little bit. But next season, Florida's got to go to Knoxville, and they go to Knoxville pretty early. And I think that Tennessee knocks them senseless and breaks that 5-year losing streak. So there you go with that. It's one of my SEC East things there. Couple of other notes. Let's see here. What else did I write? I do think one other note with Florida. I think they're going to be a team that we're not going to know much about, meaning that the transfer portal is going to, I think Billy Napier is going to run crazy through that to try to fill some holes to make his team. Like if he could have the kind of season next year that Shane Beamer had this year, where they go 7-6, 8-4, something like that. That's a heck of a season after what he's been left with. So there's that. I think that next season is going to be an unpredictable set there. They have consecutive contests, by the way, with Georgia and Texas A&M. And that's going to be, they may get popped in the teeth there. I do think that Clemson will win 10 games next season. Death, taxes, and Clemson winning 10 games. It's kind of where you're at right now. Why do I think that? Because next season, the 3 losses Clemson had this year, they lost to a Georgia team that I think is outstanding. They lost to an NC State team that had a truckload of seniors. And then they lost to a Heisman Trophy contending quarterback in Kenny Pickett. I don't think they're going to face anyone that's going to challenge them that much next season. And I think that Clemson will win 10 games. I really do. So there you go with that. Clemson wins 10 games next year. A couple of other big time, I say bold predictions here. And we'll get to more of those in just a moment. Let's go out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob. Rob, I'm an upstate South Carolina guy. I just
Hey,
was just watching your show live.
Hey, can you turn that down for me a little bit so it doesn't feedback?
I apologize, my friend. Yeah, let me turn it off right here. My bad, my friend. Okay, let me start over.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, I'm from upstate, and I love watching both of you guys, you and Jackpot show. And I'm a Carolina fan, but I wanted to ask you, you're pretty knowledgeable cat with both sides of Clemson and Carolina. What do you think that Luke Doty will bail for next year?
I don't know, to be completely honest with you. I think that if Doty wants to play quarterback, I think that Spencer Rattler is better than he is. But I also would, if I were someone that, if Luke Doty is listening, I would give him the following advice. Basically, do you want to be a Gamecock? If you're telling me yes, you want to be a Gamecock, what I would do is that I would take the Dakereon Joyner route, and I'd tell him, look, I'll play wide receiver. I'll do whatever it is you want me to do because Doty is a heck of an athlete. But on the other hand, Spencer Rattler is a guy that sometimes he gets poundy face. And it seems like he's had some issues at some point where you worry if the guy's going to be mentally checked in or not. And I'm just saying,
so that may be able to use both of them.
Well, not only that, if Spencer Rattler gets mad in this era of the transfer portal, he may move on. And then all of a sudden you're looking at you could have that starting quarterback job back.
I know it's getting too easy for him. I don't understand that. But yeah, man, I was watching the post conference with Beamer, and he's kind of slipped up when he said it about. They asked him about Rattler coming in, and he said, "Well, when he gets here, and this is there," and then he said, "Oh, well, if he gets the job," but he pretty much the way he said it, it's his. But
well, I mean, look,
I was thinking, I wonder what Luke Doty was thinking about that.
I mean, and I don't think Doty's a stupid guy. I mean, Rattler threw for 3,000 yards as a freshman with 28 touchdowns. Rattler tuned up the Florida Gators in a bowl game. I don't doubt Rattler's talent. I doubt Rattler's I don't think mental ability is the word I'm using here. Just does Rattler, when he get here, does he want to actually be here? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, you transferred here, but when you have to get down in the mud, and do you really want to be here? And we don't know. I mean,
he's coming here on a virtual tour. That's all. I mean, he didn't even come down to Columbia.
Right. So there's that. Tell me, does he end up really wanting to be here? It could be something as simple as, man, we got a condition in this July heat here in Columbia. What the hell is that? I mean, it could be something as simple as that, you know? But if I were Doty, I would tell him, look, if you want to be a Gamecock, tell them you'll play wherever they want you to play. You want me to play safety? I'll go play safety.
Right.
Do that.
Well, I love it, man. Yeah. Columbia and Georgetown are the two hottest places in South Carolina in the summertime. There's no question about that.
You sweat walking the 15 feet from your car to the building. It's insane.
Rob, thank you so much for that. Was an interesting comment back with that, and I hope that the dude stays and he doesn't run off. I mean, we kind of have a tendency to run quarterbacks off, so I hope not.
Well, maybe things are different with Beamer there. We'll see.
We'll see. Thanks, Rob, for the call.
All right, appreciate it. Have a good day. You're welcome to join the program, 803-978-1832. More bold predictions for the 2022 season, even though we haven't wrapped up yet. Yeah, there's that. More of the rundown when we come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Blake asked about the Smoky Mountain vacation. Yeah, that was, I've got a teenage daughter, so it's like going anywhere, and I love her. Don't get me wrong. Going anywhere with teenagers is just it's just insane. And why we went there, I don't know. We're supposed to go look at Christmas lights. We ended up just driving around. It's like, oh, man, this sucks. Getting something to eat is an epic adventure. So, like, we go, and there's thousands of places to eat there. But every place is like an hour and a half wait. And you convince the kids, all right, this is where we're going to go. And when I've got 3 children and I've got my niece and nephew with us, in addition to my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and my mother-in-law, all of us went. So we get up there and literally going to eat is just the daughter's crying. I don't want to go there. And then we find something the kids like, and then my brother-in-law's like, I don't want to go there. Man, just shut the hell up. That's about where I was with all that. It's ridiculous. So I told my wife, we have 2 new things in the house. 1, we will not get any more dogs. The 2 dogs we have will be the last dogs that we have. And 2, I'm not going on any more road trips. It's not happening. Not happening. Will not go. Don't care. So there you go with that. That's the absolute truth. Don't ever take your kids out for that kind of thing. It's insane. All right, here we go. Welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. We are rolling along here with some bold predictions. You can call into the show, 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Some of the bold predictions for next season. I think that Brian Harson's seeded Auburn is going to get hot. They didn't finish with a winning season this year. Now, I've said the bowl games don't mean anything, and I stand by that. Okay? But if your team goes to a bowl game, especially if you're in the SEC where it just means more, even though your conference is top heavy, you expect your teams that are in the middle of the conference that go to a bowl game to actually go out there and beat the teams they're playing in the bowl game, especially if they're from the American Conference or whatever. Auburn lost their game, and their fans don't like it. He has another tough set next year. He will not be the coach there, in my opinion. Out to the phones we go. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Big Barney Ross, I've got a bold prediction for the Georgia-Alabama game.
Well, for Monday, okay.
I think Georgia's going to be up at the half. I think the second half, Alabama's going to come back. Kirby Smart's going to panic. He's going to do poor clock management. I think there'll be 4 minutes left to go in the game. Georgia's driving. They get stopped. Be a 4th and 11. He'll do a fake punt. And there'll be a turnover on downs. And Alabama will run it down there and kick a field goal and win it. Big Barney Ross, I'm out.
How bold of you, sir. Wow. Maybe. Maybe that happens. I don't know. Look, I've said on the show before, Kirby Smart's not one of the coaches that I like, but I do give him credit. He puts together teams that are great. I think the way he's handled quarterbacks has been silly, and I wonder about second half adjustments. I do think that Georgia's a team that I don't know how well they'll play from behind. So we'll see how that works out for them. Jordan says Georgia choking is a bold prediction in Big Barney Ross's eyes. Yeah. All right. Anyway, getting back to Harsin. Yeah, they have a stretch in the middle of the season where they play LSU, Georgia, and Ole Miss. I think if he doesn't win at least one of those games, he may have a problem. I mean, seriously. The whole Mountain West thing is not working for him. Mountain West coach down there. Mountain West coach coaching in the SEC. We'll see how that works out. But as of right now, not so much. So I think that Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame is going to have a tough start to his season. They play Ohio State at the beginning of the year, and he could be 0-2 at the start of the season. Or 0-2 to begin his tenure because he lost the bowl game. So there's that. And I think they're going to warm up to him later on. So there's that too with Marcus Freeman. I think he's going to do fine at Notre Dame, though. I think they'll stay right where they are, which is a consistent top 15 team. Also, Georgia for next season. I think Georgia's got enough talent next season as long as nobody transfers. Now, if you come back to me in October and half a team is transferred, then what I've said here doesn't make any sense. But it's a fair assessment when you look at Georgia's schedule. The toughest games on their schedule next year, I think, are Tennessee in the East. The West matchups, they've got Mississippi State, who I don't know if the Pirates going to get it done or not. He could go out there and have his team throw for 700 yards, and they could win. I don't know. It's an uneven thing with him. But I'm not scared of Auburn at all, regardless. So they don't get Alabama. They don't get an LSU. They don't get a Texas A&M. The SEC East is pretty much Georgia and a bunch of teams that are trying to finish second. And I think that Georgia will go through next season and either go undefeated or drop just one game in the regular season. And a lot of that has to do with the fact of they're not playing any of the heavyweights in the SEC West. So there you go with that. Also, a couple of other notes. I think Ohio State's going to win the Big Ten. Looking with what they've got coming back, I think they're going to be fine. They will roll right through the Big Ten. I think that here on this show, we're going to talk a lot more about, remember when we used to talk about the college football playoff expanding? Just saying. Remember that? Yeah. Now we're talking about the transfer portal. There you go. I think next year it's going to be the transfer portal and basically the free agency of college football. All right, if you want to respond to any of that, 803-978-1832. Jacob says, okay, but we're playing Oregon. I mean, are you really, if Georgia's playing Oregon, I looked at their conference schedule. I mean, are you really terrified of Oregon right now? As a Georgia fan? If so, then you've been living in the SEC too long, and the thought of scheduling an out-of-conference game against another Power 5 team has you scared, especially when they can't opt out. I think Georgia right now is a better team than Oregon. Have more confidence in your team there, sir. Rob says the SEC East has more bowl wins than the entire ACC, but he says, I don't put much weight on bowl games. Yeah, very good for you, Rob. Bowl games don't mean anything. They really don't. And I don't know how they can fix it. I mean, they're basically exhibitions. It's kind of what they boil down to. 803-978-1832. Someone's talking about Kentucky over there. Look, Kentucky won 10 games. Just remember, they had trouble with UT Chattanooga. Just saying. Trouble with UT Chattanooga. Huh. I mean, Kentucky's going to be great defensively because that's the trademark of Coach Stoops up there. I wonder about the offense, though. Wonder about it. Jacob says, I didn't say I was scared of Oregon. You mentioned you played Oregon, and that I said your schedule is not exactly outstandingly tough. I just think that you're better than Oregon. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Rob says Kentucky won as many games as Clemson. What do both teams have in common? They lost to Georgia. Yeah, well, I mean, Georgia, it seems like they can beat everybody, but Alabama, that's who they got to play to break that 1980 streak. Good luck, bro. Good luck. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. We'll take your calls on my bold predictions there. Oh, and I've got South Carolina winning 7 games next season. Yep. 7 games, possibly 8. 7 games, possibly 8. When you look at the schedule, I think they're going to shock some folks. A lot of the guys coming back, and maybe some stability at quarterback. Now, and if injuries happen, guys transfer, but they're going to come back with their running back room is really good. With Marshawn Lloyd. I say really good. Marshawn Lloyd is back there, and they've got someone they can hand the ball off to. We know that, okay? They're going to have some stability at quarterback, and they've got a wide receiver in Josh Vann. So on the offensive side of the ball, that's 3 things South Carolina has for sure. And let's not forget Stogner, the tight end. Just saying, they could win 7 games next season. They really, really could. They're going to have that, and a lot of the guys are coming back for that defense that ended up being pretty decent. Jacob says, I don't think winning 7 or 8 games with Spencer Rattler and all their other transfers would shock anyone. I don't either. Quick break. We'll talk more when we come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Yeah, but that's not UT Chattanooga. It's not the Snake there, Brandon. So South Carolina has Georgia State at home. That's a win. They go to Arkansas. That's probably a loss. Georgia's a loss. Charlotte's a win. South Carolina State's a win. They go to Kentucky. That's a toss-up. Texas A&M is probably a loss. I think they beat Mizzou. I think they beat Vanderbilt. Florida. Tennessee's a toss-up, and they're going to lose to Clemson. Tell me where I'm out of my mind. They're playing Tennessee in Columbia. What's wrong with that? Billy, you think that same South Carolina team is going to be the same the same that played against Vanderbilt? Come on, man. Potential. I think they can win 7. Okay? Their out of conference schedule is hot dog water. Okay? The best they've got is Clemson. They're going on the road there. Now they're going to get stomped there. But I think that they'll roll through the non-conference. Georgia State, Charlotte, and South Carolina State, they're going to roll right through that. It's 3 wins right there. Oh, I've got Alabama winning. I think Alabama's going to win by probably 10 points next week. I just don't, and I'll moonwalk that back if Kirby Smart gets it done. But in reality, You don't place very many bets against Nick Saban. I'm not. I've got Nick Saban. I think that was the best win they had on the road this year, Brandon. Yeah. Well, welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. I mentioned I think South Carolina wins 7 games next year, and it's never too early to kind of look at the schedule and think, oh, okay. The South Carolina non-conference schedule, with the exception of Clemson, is, we use the term a lot, hot dog water. I mentioned it's like they've got Georgia State. I think South Carolina's got more talent than Georgia State. And first game of the season, I think they win. They play at Arkansas. That may be a tough matchup. I think that they lose to Georgia. But after that, it kind of opens up. They've got Charlotte, South Carolina State, which you should pencil those both in as wins. They play at Kentucky, going to Kroger Field. That may be a harsh, kind of a hard matchup there. They've got Texas A&M in Columbia. That may be tough there. I think that they can beat Mizzou in Columbia. They'll beat Vanderbilt. I think they beat Florida. And the Tennessee game is a toss-up, and they lose to Clemson. So 7 wins is not that far-fetched. Yeah, Brandon said I had 7 wins, 2 toss-ups, and 3 losses. That doesn't really work with the math. I know. The games that I'm the most confident about for South Carolina next season are Georgia State, Charlotte, South Carolina State, Mizzou, Vanderbilt. That's 5 wins. Georgia is 6. So, and I think that they'll get either Tennessee. They play at home. They'll get either Tennessee or Kentucky, one or the other. So there's the 7 wins. Kendall says, seeing South Carolina lose to Clemson every year makes me lose faith. I think I'm a little jealous. Yeah, but in reality, I talked with someone, and they made a lot of sense about this. A gentleman that played on the offensive line for in the SEC. And the reality is that for Shane Beamer to get the vision that he wants, he's going to have to get some good players in here. And regardless of what you think of Will Muschamp, he kind of forgot to recruit on the offensive line. And when you watch the national championship game next Monday night, you're going to see 2 of the best offensive lines in college football. Watch some of the bigger bowl matchups for the guys that didn't opt out. They had great bowl game, great offensive linemen there too. And I think that's something that it's just going to take time to build. Billy disagrees with me, thinking they're not going to beat Kentucky or Tennessee. Okay. Still puts them at 6 wins next year, which is a heck of a lot off from what we were talking about with them winning, 5 games last year? But with South Carolina, I think that it's going to take some time. But until then, Beamer's going to have to do one of 2 things. Mold some of the guys he's got to make themselves competitive so they can bring some more guys in on the recruiting trail, or he's going to have to hit the transfer portal. 803-978-1832. I don't know. Jacob says that when he calls, it sent him to a team. I don't know what that is. If you call the program, you should be able to get right through. Justin says, I'm from Bama, and I do think this game will be closer than the last game, but I just don't see Georgia pulling it off with Stetson Bennett. If they had JT Daniels, he would be worried. I give a lot of grief to Kirby Smart, but the reality is he's paid a heck of a lot of money to make the decision on who the quarterback is going to be. Now, I know that folks like my buddy Began Megan will be like, well, the offensive coordinator, he has the final say on the quarterback. Yeah, I get that. But in the end, Kirby Smart is paid to win national titles at Georgia, not to hang banners that they beat Clemson, not to hang national championship recruiting banners. No, he's paid to win the national title. He's paid to win the SEC. He didn't do that this year. He can still win the national title. But I think that Kirby Smart is responsible for all of it. And if the offensive coordinator keeps telling him, hey, Stetson Bennett is the guy, and after what Stetson Bennett did in the Michigan game, it's, he kind of gave us all a bag to hang our butts in on the way out. But I do think that if he thought that he would get just a little bit more of an edge in that Alabama matchup, just a little bit, if he started JT Daniels, he'd tell his offensive coordinator to go to hell. We're going to start JT Daniels. And in the end, he's going to be the one that's responsible for it. That's just the way that it is. He could say, yeah, let the offensive coordinator do that. That's copping out. And we goof on Kirby Smart here, or I do, but he's not the kind of guy that cops out. He doesn't really do that. He'll hang on to, yeah, this is my decision. Bam, then go from there. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Blake says that's the problem. Kirby can't get JT ready. Yeah, but I don't think that he can. The offensive staff get him ready. And we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on as far as what's happening with the behind the scenes. We don't know. Could be those two don't like each other. Could be JT Daniels hits the transfer portal. I don't know. I have no clue. Billy says Georgia fired Mark Richt with almost an 800 win percentage in the SEC. Yeah, but he couldn't win the big game either. So there's that. All right, we're getting jacked up here for the national championship game. I've had some friends say, yeah, I'm not going to watch it. My team's not playing. You know what? If you love college football is completely different. Like, I have a hard time watching the World Series and the playoffs unless the Braves are in it. But I'm such a crazy Braves fan. But I'm going to watch the national championship game. Maybe it's just different. We'll see. But I tell you what, I'm interested to see the chess matchup. When you don't have a team that's in it, you can kind of enjoy it more. And you can be objective. Brandon wants to know when I'm making my prediction for the Bama-Georgia game. Probably Monday when they actually have the game. So we'll get into that. We've also got other things to get into as well. I know it sounds crazy, but once we wrap the national championship game, you got what? 4 weeks before spring ball gets underway. There you go with that. Nick online says baseball is a unique sport. People aren't as much of baseball fans as they are fans of their team. Yeah. But you know what? You can, I think with baseball, like I can go and watch a baseball game live and enjoy it more than I watch it on TV. When I go watch the Fireflies play here in Columbia, our minor league team here, I could sit out on the berm out there and I could watch what's going on from right behind the pitcher, and you could just see so much of it. And I can appreciate, the guy hits a double and is he stealing signs and how's he tipping the guy off? I mean, I love stuff like that. With college football, I love watching it at home. I feel like I get a better view of it at home. And I think that you can see kind of the chess matchup more. So there's that. Rob says Georgia fired Mark Richt because he won the East twice in his last 10 seasons and didn't win the conference in over 10 years. Pretty simple. That isn't good enough. That's a fair statement. Fair statement. 803-978-1832. I'm actually out of time. Look at that. By the way, Lawton Swan of Clemson Sports Talk is next. He is the czar of Clemson Sports.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Be sure to follow him on Twitter at Clemson Sports, as Lawton will take you home this afternoon. Appreciate you being a part of the program. Podcast is up at 5 o'clock. Blog info at foxsportsradio1400.com. We'll see you tomorrow. You guys are awesome over there. Hey, don't forget, new Rob and Kale show tonight. I have power at my house. Ta-da! So there's that. Yeah, so new Rob and Kale show tonight. I don't know where the hell Jackpot is, but we're going to be doing the show tonight. Look forward to hanging out with you guys later on. We'll see you later, all right?